What's up YouTube? How goes it? Today we're having a long-term look at the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max. I personally have been using the iPhone 12 Pro since day 0 all the way back from October 2020. And after using it for a fair bit of time, I definitely have an opinion on it that I think might be of use to you. If you are looking for a deep dive technical review of the iPhone 12 Pro, this is not the video you want. I've already done that. I will leave a link in the description below. So definitely check that out if you want the capabilities of the iPhone 12 Pro and how well they fare. But if you want to see if the iPhone 12 Pro or Pro Max is still worth it in late 2021, or if you should hold out for the next iPhone, or if you shouldn't even bother considering any iPhone at this point, well, this might be the video for you and hopefully will set you in the right direction. As always, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get started. Whether you like it or you hate it, one of the most prominent changes with the iPhone 12 series is its design. So it has a more linear, aggressive, and sharp design compared to the one on the iPhone 11 and the ones before it as well. So you could say in a way that Apple reintroduced the design that was on the iPhone 4 and 5, granted with different materials this time. I personally absolutely love it from an aesthetical point of view. However, keeping that in mind, I do find that the design of the iPhone 12, 12 Pro, and 12 Pro Max is definitely a little more discomforting, if that's the right word to use, when holding in your hand for prolonged periods of time. The sharp edges don't feel natural, unlike the more groovy or curved edges of the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. But overall, again, this is only a problem if you're not using a case, as using a case in most cases will actually make the edges somewhat softer and give you more grip, decreasing the chance of you actually dropping your phone. Also, it's worth noting the more flat design of the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro actually allows you to get extra screen real estate, meaning you get a whole 0.3 inches more on the iPhone 12 Pro versus the iPhone 11 Pro, which only had 5.8 inches of screen real estate versus the 6.1 inches you have here, and you have roughly the same body size. So that's definitely a very good point with the flat design. One of the core points of Apple's philosophy is seamless transition between their products. So what I mean by that is that if you're coming from a 1, 2, or even arguably 3 generation iPhone, you'll find that the iPhone 12 Pro doesn't necessarily feel any more snappier. Your applications behave and perform the same way they have on previous iterations for the most part. They work just as fast, and someone might even say, well, what gives? Well, here's the thing. Most iPhone users are looking for a snappy experience, and the iPhone 12 Pro continues to deliver that. So again, keep in mind, you're not going to get anything flashier than you already do because you're already running a very optimized version of iOS along with the applications that come aside and the third-party applications. Now, with that being said, one of the biggest technical differences between the standard iPhone 12 and the Pro series of the iPhone 12 is the fact that you get a whole additional 2 gigabytes of RAM with the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max, making it a total of 6 gigabytes. Generally speaking, like I mentioned in day-to-day performance, you will notice a negligible difference, if any at all, when doing that kind of stuff. But there are certain cases where that 2 GB of extra RAM makes a difference. One of them being multitasking. So if you have a lot of multitasking apps in your background or in your multitask switcher, you'll often notice that with the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max, you can keep a lot more apps frozen without having to reload them. Whereas on the iPhone 12, you will often find you have to reload more apps. This can definitely save you a precious few seconds if you frequently switch between different applications. A second and even more specific or niche difference is when you're using the LiDAR scanner, which is exclusively available on the iPhone 12 Pro series. So one of the things I notice is when I'm doing those detailed 3D scans, 6 gigabytes is just barely enough RAM to take a comprehensive large object, scan it, and render it. In fact, I would even argue 6 gigabyte falls slightly on the shorter side. I cannot possibly imagine a LiDAR scanner on a 4 GB iPhone or any Apple device with just 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's just not enough memory, and this is one of those rare cases where having more RAM on the iPhone 12 Pro definitely has a visible advantage. Hands down, one of the most overestimated differences between iPhones year over year has to be the camera, and this is often because Apple spends a lot of time bragging about their camera. Now make no mistake, iPhones always tend to have amazing cameras, whether you're capturing a photo or taking a good old video. With that being said, however, if if you are coming from, let's say, an iPhone 11 Pro to an iPhone 12 Pro and your prime reason for upgrade is a better camera, you really will not be able to tell the difference in most day-to-day shots if you're just doing stuff like taking a picture of a nice scenery or you're taking a selfie. And that's because the upgrades are so marginally better despite all the technology Apple claims that you honestly need to watch a dedicated YouTube video on why one camera is better than the other, or go on your desktop on a high quality monitor and compare literally pixel by pixel. Of course, with that being said, if you're coming from an older iPhone, like I said, an iPhone 8 or even an iPhone 10, the additional capabilities in low light definitely make the iPhone 12 Pro's camera a fantastic choice. Even the iPhone 12's camera is a visible upgrade. In the video department, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has some fancy verbiage like Dolby Vision. And if you don't know what that is, for example, chances are you probably don't need it. So the iPhone 12 Pro's camera is fantastic for video capture, but so is the iPhone 11's and even the iPhone XR and even the iPhone 10. If camera again is the sole reason you're upgrading, think twice. You should have a specific use case like a lot of low light photography, but then again, if you're a professional taking high quality videos, you're probably not using an iPhone camera anyway, and you're more likely using professional equipment. Otherwise, you're not even watching this video if you know exactly what you need from the iPhone's video camera. One area where the iPhone 12 Pro actually has a visible disadvantage over the older iPhone 11 Pro is battery life. On average, using my iPhone 12 Pro, I get about 9 hours of battery life on a full charge, and I do admit I have a relatively heavy usage load. On the iPhone 11 Pro, I used to get around 10.25 hours, which is visibly better than what I get again with the iPhone 12 Pro. And this is obviously because Apple uses a smaller battery on the iPhone 12 Pro, but the intensity or power consumption of the processor is just as much. So keep that in mind as well. Believe it or not, you're actually doing yourself a disservice by going to the iPhone 12 Pro from the 11 Pro. If you are someone who's coming from an older iPhone, however, you will find that the battery life is a subtle improvement, especially let's say to compare the likes of the iPhone 7 or the iPhone 10 as well. Finally, let's talk about the final area I wanted to cover, MagSafe. So MagSafe, of course, was a new feature introduced with the iPhone 12 series lineup of phones, whether you're getting the standard iPhone 12 or the Pro series. Now, with that being said, MagSafe honestly was a lot more hyped in my opinion than it actually came out to be. Believe it or not, there's only still a handful of third-party companies, particularly phone cases, that actually have MagSafe support, and I feel like the adoption for this has been relatively slow. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of third-party companies, and of course, Apple's own, what's the politically correct word for outrageously priced? Assertive priced accessories that are on the market, and you can definitely get those. But I find that MagSafe just doesn't have the kind of utility for a lot of average users that you'd expect, in theory. So yes, you have the MagSafe charger, but the MagSafe charger itself, again, is not that frequently bought because you have to buy it entirely separately, and a lot of people just still use the good old fast charging adapter or cable. Also, the actual MagSafe cases are nice, but some people find the magnets to be on the weaker side with Apple's own proprietary magnet, and actually end up going with third-party solution like Magbach's proprietary magnet case. Overall, MagSafe isn't bad. In fact, it's a great start. I just think there's a lot of improvement needed. If you are buying an iPhone 12 or 12 Pro for the MagSafe feature, I would definitely advise you to wait a generation, because I have a feeling MagSafe 2.0 or whatever Apple's gonna call it is definitely gonna be visibly better than the current MagSafe technology we have on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. So here's the thing. If you are someone who's coming from a one generation old iPhone, like an iPhone 11 Pro or iPhone 11, you have a very limited number of reasons you would possibly want to upgrade to the iPhone 12 or 12 Pro. So like I said, unless or otherwise you have specific needs, you can probably do away with another generation or two. And chances are, if you are a huge iPhone fanatic, you've probably already bought the latest iPhone and have no need to watch this video other than the fact that you're reassuring yourself that you're gonna get the iPhone 13 for the exact same reasons. Now, with that being said, I still think the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro in particular is a fantastic phone. I love the design. The additional performance you get with the 12 Pro in certain situations can be beneficial, and the cameras, like I mentioned, are top tier. If you are coming from, let's say, an iPhone 6s or an iPhone 7, you're gonna notice visible performance across all the departments, whether that's the display quality or if it's the cameras or the actual body design or the screen real estate you get. Of Of course, with that being said, the iPhone 12 Pro is not a perfect phone. Like I mentioned, the MagSafe technology still has miles to go, and the design might be borderline discomforting for a lot of people. And there's still a lot of accessory support that needs to come for MagSafe as well. So overall, I definitely think the iPhone 12 Pro or 12 is worth considering. Again, if you're coming from several generation old iPhones like the iPhone 10 or prior. Also keep in mind, since we are very close to iPhone 13, we're approaching fall really fast, you're gonna start seeing a lot of iPhone 12 and 12 Pros in the pre-owned market, and you'll definitely get a nice discount if you don't mind owning a pre-owned device. Also, you'll start seeing retailers give a lot of discounts on the iPhone 12 Pro because generally they try to clear out the inventory before the latest iPhones come. So keep an eye out for all that and you might save a pretty penny. All in all, if you guys enjoyed this long-term review or experience review, hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you want a technical or detailed review, feel free to check out my detailed review in the video description below. Take care, thanks for watching.